All right, here it is. MLB Power Rankings. I believe this is the fourth rendition of these that I've done. Not much change at the bottom. White Sox at 30. Will they set the all-time loss record? I don't know. Rockies at 29. Marlins 28. They're tied for the worst team in the NL. Angels 27. A's trying to get out of the bottom five. They're at 26. Don't look now. They're only 2 games back of the Nationals, so the A's could get out of the bottom 5. Nationals 25, no change in the bottom 6. Blue Jays fall 3 spots to the from 21 to 24. The Jays got hot for a little bit. They were trying to get back to 500. Now they are back to 9 below, 3 and 7 in their last 10. The Pirates, Reds, and Rangers all move up by 1. For the Pirates, they've been good, not great. 6 and 4 in their last 10. They're still 8 below 500. The Reds, they swept the Astros. How about that? They get back into, they're within 500. They're within striking distance with, 16 games left to go. I can't believe we're so close to being done. My goodness. But they're not making the playoffs, obviously. 70 and 75. We should go in and eliminate the teams, right? We should eliminate. So the White Sox, they have been eliminated. We're just going to do this. Eliminated. Rockies have been eliminated. The Marlins have been eliminated officially. The Angels have been eliminated. The A's right now, they're 20 below. So how much are they? That would put them 14 games back of the Twins. So they are technically still in it. The Nationals at 15 below. They are a full. This is crazy. 15 below. They are now 14 and a half back of the Mets. So again, they're technically still in it. So 4 teams, I believe, have been eliminated. Can we check the standings to make sure, though? But I think that is the case. Do we have... I guess they don't tell you online. I wish they did. Yeah, that's weird that they don't tell you online. Let's look it up. Which teams have been eliminated? '24. Come on. Here we go. CBS is going to tell us who's been eliminated. The White Sox are out. The Miami. Okay, so I guess the Angels and A's are also still technically in it. So we're gonna remove that. Obviously, they're not gonna make it. But all right, moving on. So the Rangers, Rangers 7 and 3 in their last 10. I believe they're 13 and 6 in their last 19. So the Rangers are kind of heating up. Unfortunately for them, it is definitely too little too late. But they're now kind of doing what the Blue Jays did. Maybe doing a little bit of a Padres 2023. They've been underperforming all season. Now finally getting a little bit healthier. And they're trying to make a push to finish the season at 500. Maybe they can even get ahead of the Mariners. And hey, never say never. They are right now 6 games back of Minnesota. However, again, there's just not enough time left. They have 18 more games. They're 6 back. It's not going to happen, Texas, unless they go on some sort of a 15 and 3, 16 and 2 kind of a run. And even they would still need a lot of help. Giants at 20. They stay at 20. 2 games below 500. And the Rays remain at 19. The Cardinals remain at 18. So no changes there. The Red Sox and the Mariners, they swap places. Both teams are 2 above. Both teams are still somehow only 3 games out of a wild card spot. Same as the Tigers. Mariners a little bit better more recently with Dan Wilson as their manager. The Red Sox, they seem to have completely faded. But Tigers, Mariners, Red Sox, all 3 of those teams are still technically in the mix for the playoffs at only 3 back. Cubs at 14, their momentum has kind of stalled out. They were winning. They were on a big streak. They had the Taylor Swift candle. Everything was great in Chicago, and now they are kind of back to being average. They're 6 and 4 in their last 10. Still 4 games above 500, 5 games back of the New York Mets. So they're still in it, but not for much longer. 18 games to go. They're 5 back. Minnesota at number 13, my worst playoff team. They dropped by 1. They have been terrible lately. They're 3 and 7 in their last 10. They just lost 4 in a row. They got swept by the Royals. They are barely clinging on. The Twins are lucky because the Tigers, Mariners, and Red Sox stink. I want to pull up the Twins' remaining schedule. And we're going to look at this because I'm not so sure about the Twins. They get the Angels, who stink, the Reds, who stink, but then they have to play Cleveland, then the Red Sox, who are in competition with them, the Marlins, who stink, but then they close with Baltimore. So that's 3 easy series and 3 difficult series for the Twins. How about the Tigers? Let's look at the Tigers schedule really quick. The Tigers, they get the Rockies easy, Orioles hard, Royals hard, Orioles hard, Rays and White Sox easy. So again, Tigers kind of a 3-3, but the Royals series will be interesting because they are chasing the Royals in the standings. Let's look at the Red Sox. What does their schedule look like? They get the Orioles hard, Yankees hard, Rays easy, Twins, we'll call it hard, Jays and Rays easy. So again, fairly moderate schedule for them. And then the Mariners. The Mariners schedule looks like this. They got San Diego hard, Texas easy in theory, Yankees hard, Rangers again in theory should be easy, Astros hard, A's hard. So all these teams in the AL wildcard picture have about 3 tough series left and about 2 or 3 easy series left. The Royals have the Yankees hard, Pirates easy, Tigers hardish, Giants easy, Nationals easy, Braves hard-ish. So yeah, none of those teams have terrible schedules. None of them have great schedules either. But that is kind of where we're at with them. All right, Kansas City, they are at 12. They surpassed the Twins because they did sweep them. They are 13 games above 500. 4.5 games back of the Yankees on top of the AL, so they're probably out of it for the AL crown. They're 3.5 back of Cleveland, and they don't play Cleveland again. So for the Royals, if they thought, for very briefly they took over the AL Central, it looks like they're going to have to settle for a wild card, but it does look like they're going to be in the wild card. Houston also drops by 2. They are now out of the top 10, 6-4 in their last 10, 77-66, just 11 games over 500. So once again, this has not been a great season by any metric for the Astros. They've benefited from a terrible division, but again, there's a reason why I have the Braves ahead of 3 American League playoff teams. I truly think that if the Braves were in the AL, they would be better than Houston, Kansas City, and Minnesota right now. But the Houston Astros at 11, still technically within striking distance of the Yankees, 5.5 back. But again, as we start to get to this point, there's only 19 games left for the Astros. They're not going to catch the Yankees, 5.5 back. So they're pretty much out of it. So really, the number 1 seed races comes down to a little bit, but that Braves at number 10, they're a game behind the Mets for the playoffs. And one of those 2 teams that might get left out, or could they catch the D-backs? They're 2 back of Arizona, 2.5 back of the Padres, 1 back of the Mets. They have to catch up to one of those 3 teams. They're 8 back of the number 1 seed, but they're not doing what they need to do. They're 5-5 in their last 10. That's just not good enough. Braves going to have to get hot. Diamondbacks at 9. They dropped 2 spots, 4-6 in their last 10, still occupying the number 2 wild card, but the Mets are now only a game back. So the Diamondbacks, if they, the Diamondbacks are half a game behind the Padres to host a playoff series, but they're also only a game ahead of the Mets, which would be to go on the road at Milwaukee, which is hosting San Diego is a much easier schedule than going to Milwaukee. I'll tell you that much. And if the Diamondbacks, they could fall out of the playoffs entirely because the Braves are only 2 back. So the D-backs are not secure right now in their playoff positioning at all. Padres, 81-64, 17 games above 500, 5.5 back of the Dodgers. So they're pretty much out of that division. The Dodgers pretty much have it wrapped up. But the Padres right now, again, only a game and a half ahead of the Mets. If the Padres want to host the wild card series, they are going to have to keep staying hot because the Mets are the hottest team in baseball. The Mets at 7. So the Mets currently, they're the number 6 seed. They're the number 3 wild card, but they're 9-1 in their last 10. They've been the hottest team in baseball. 14 games above 500. They're 7 back of Philadelphia for the division. Probably not going to catch up to them, but the Mets have a serious opportunity if they can surpass San Diego and Arizona, which I think they probably could. If they can do that, the Mets would get to host a playoff series instead of having to go to San Diego or to Arizona or to Milwaukee. Again, I do not want to play at Milwaukee if I'm any of these teams. Orioles, they are out of the top 5. They fall to number 6. Still 19 games above 500, a game and a half back of the division leading Yankees. And again, the Orioles are still very much in the race for the number 1 seed. The number 1 seed in the AL is a 3-way race. And the number 1 seed in the NL right now is kind of a two-way race, but we'll get there in a second. But yeah, Guardians at 5, Yankees at 4. The American League number 1 seed is very close. You can see the Yankees lead it by 1 game over Cleveland, by 1.5 over Baltimore. So it is very, very close. And then the Brewers at number 3, they're 3.5 back of the NL leaders. So again, the Brewers still alive, but the more time goes by that they are not holding the pace with the Dodgers and Phillies, the further that the less of a chance they have of claiming that number 1 seed. And that leaves us with the Dodgers at 2 and the Phillies, now the number 1 team in the league. They have the same record. The Phillies, though, this is wrong. The Phillies are 7-3 in their last 10. The Dodgers are 6-4 in their last 10. The Phillies now ahead of the Dodgers. They have tied them. The number 1 seed in all of baseball. It is anyone's race. So the races to watch, really, this is a race to watch between Dodgers, Phillies for the number 1 seed. This is a race to watch. Yankees, Guardians, Orioles. A, for the number 1 seed. B, because Baltimore could still win that division, which would, again, of course, give them the bye and would make the Yankees have to, of course, the Yankees would still get to host a playoff series, but the Yankees would not get the bye there. Brewers, could they potentially catch up and grab a bye for themselves? Maybe, probably not. So the byes are basically set right now. Phillies, Dodgers are going to get a bye. Guardians are going to get a bye, and then whoever wins between the Yankees and Orioles are going to get a bye. That's kind of where we're at right now. The other races to watch, though. Mets, Padres, Diamondbacks, Braves. One of these 4 teams isn't going to make it. Right now, the Braves are on the outside looking in. Next week, it could be the Mets, it could be the D-backs, it could be the Padres. Any of these 4 teams could get really hot. The Mets currently are. But any of these 4 teams could get really, really cold, and if they do, they will not make the playoffs. And then the other race to watch would be right here, right? The Twins versus the Tigers, Mariners, and Red Sox. I have the Cubs sandwiched in between, but that's the race to watch. Can the Tigers, Mariners, or Red Sox get hot enough to catch up to the Twins, who have been terrible lately? The Twins are barely clinging on. They have 3 games right now. Detroit, Seattle, Boston, all 3 of them now Detroit's been the hottest, been the best of the 3 lately, but even still, you see right here, 3-7, 5-5, 5-5, 4-6. None of these teams seem like they really want it. I feel bad for the Cubs. I feel bad for the Braves. Because if I was the Braves or the Cubs, I would be thinking to myself, man, I'm better. We are better than the Twins. We're better than the Astros. We might be better than Kansas City. Maybe not the Cubs probably aren't better than Kansas City, but the Cubs probably think they're better than at least the Twins right now. Yeah, it's tough for the Braves, though, in particular, who I think, especially when you consider with all the injuries that they've had to go through, Acuna, Riley, they've lost a lot of firepower to injuries, and they're still hanging around the playoff mix, only a game back, and still in my top 10 power rankings. But that is the MLB Power Rankings. We'll see you guys tomorrow.